All right, let's use that same question, page 55, number 1, the one that's already worked out for you, and see how we can use Excel to also generate data. Ready? So Excel, I do know for sure this auto thing works, right? So we're still doing 5 cents per minute, so 0.05 star cell A3, and let's put a $sign in front of that. That way I can drag that down, autofill. Right, so there's our minutes in the first column and the cost in the second. So if we highlight all this data, a few people messed up on the project with the histogram. I think you're making it harder than it needed to be. If we go in our charts here, here's the column. You click on that and find whichever histogram you wanted and the end. But the hardest part probably was defining the bins. Like, let's say for the project you wanted to find how many F's there were, right, for the homework grade, 0 to 59, and then you can use the count feature here to see how many there were. But anyways, let's look at this one here. We're going to use Excel to graph. So depending which version of Excel, it might be laid out a little different. You may have to go into the insert menu up top and find, you know, the chart that you want or whatever. But we're going to do, well, let's play around with this. Smooth mark scatter. Let's try that one and see what happens. Okay, yeah, looks about the graph I wanted, right? If not, you could always pick a different one, but the scatter chart is the one that has the X and the Y. So it used the minutes, the horizontal axis, as our X. Over here, let's put it closer to this data. Use the minutes here for the X and the cost here for the Y. Excel did a great job about determining the scale of these and the intervals in which they marked, right? But it didn't give me the equation of the line, and that's, you know, of importance here. So let's see, how do we do this? I believe you double click the line, and it brings up these options here. Right, so the axis, error bars, we're not using that. Some box plots, right? Let's see, let's click on line. Smooth line, gradient, now that all looks good. There we go. Right click on the line, it pulls up this format trend line, and go to options, display the equation on the chart. Right now I can see what that function is. Display the r squared value on the chart. We're going to be using r squared later as well. Remember, r is the correlation coefficient. What that tells us is how close this is to a line. But it can be negative, which means it could be a negative slope, right? A downward trend. R squared will always be positive because we're taking that r value and squaring it, and a negative squared is a positive. So anyways, same thing. The closer it is to 1, the more accurate, right, this line fits all of your data. And because this is perfectly linear, we get our r squared value of 1. Here's the other, y equals 0.05x. Right, so it gave us our equation. Pretty awesome. Let's look at part C though. When we add $20, so I'm just going to copy this just so we don't, you know, get mishmashed in our charts here. But now with the cost, I still want to do 5 cents per minute, so 0.05 star the minutes. A11. Let's go ahead and throw that $sign in front. But it says no matter what, you pay $20 per month, right? No matter how many minutes you use, the base fee is $20 per month, and then 5 cents per minute thereafter. Oh, forgot an equal. Otherwise, it's not going to compute anything for us. So you use 0 minutes, you still pay $20 because you were enrolled in the plan, and you'll notice, all of these are just different than this, by 20. We can do the same thing. I believe if you highlight these, it'll even plot that, but let's check it out. Oops. I don't want that one. I wanted the one with the line. All right, so yeah, so notice now it says cost. Well, I guess it still didn't mark the variables exactly how we wanted to. There are some options in here, though, that you could play around with. Let's see. So the trend line, a lot of options. Right? I want the equation, and I want the r squared value. Okay. So there it is, it's the same equation, 0.05x, but it moved up 20, right? Because the $20 per month fee, regardless of how many minutes you use. There's one more thing I want to show you. Let me see here. Okay, so if you right click and hit Format Axis, you could play around with everything just like I was showing you in Excel. Right, you could change the scale, horizontal axis scale, the minimum, the maximum, how much we want it to count by. The minor unit would be little ticks, which I don't see in there. They might be too small to see. We could display units, right? Change it if it's more appropriate. If we're in the millions, I don't want to write 100 million. I'd rather just say 100 and be in millions. Yeah, just play around with any of these options. Change it to how you like it. There's definitely a lot more than what I'm showing, but these are the main things we need for Chapter 5 and a lot of Chapter 8 is how to put in our data, how to get a line to fit, and to determine the equation and how close it is to being a perfect function. So in Chapter 5, they'll all be linear functions. We should always get one. But Chapter 8, we start changing up our data and find the best fit line. And if our data is all over the place, we want the line that would most accurately give us an equation to predict the future or the past, I guess, for that matter.